and my last build in Bestiary League. I wasn't ready to do build guide video yet, but I had so much damage I could just do the Shaper at level 85. So because of that my thoughts are not optimized for build guide video, so let's just talk about how OP Poet's Pen is. So imagine this, you want to make a build with Vortex, and if you want to do more damage you're gonna have to also use Frostbolts, because Vortex gets 40% more damage when cast from the Frostbolt, and it does consume the Frostbolt. You can also use Ice Nova, and Ice Nova does not consume the Frostbolt. So I did try manually casting Frostbolt and manually casting Vortex. Manually casting it does have more damage, and it does have more damage over time from the chill ground, but it is infinitely more clunky. And in these clips you can see I also wanted to use Mark of the Shaper ring for, well, double dipping on Vortexes, because that ring summons Volatile Anomaly, which is basically the Shaper's balls that explode when we reach enemies. They have 2-second cooldown, so we basically can maintain themselves as long as we can reach enough enemies and kill more enemies after the 2 seconds cooldown, which didn't really scale very well, so I was just mostly relying on Frostbolts and Vortexes myself. And it was very sketchy, very dangerous, very clunky, the damage wasn't even that good against single target, and it was on a 6 link. And then you just swap to Poet's Pen, you don't even need a 6 link, and you face roll anything. With 2 Poet's Pen I have like 10 times more DPS. Well, maybe not the 10 times, but at least 5 times more DPS. And it is way smoother, you only need to click one button. And this Frostbolt Vortex combo is not even the best for Poet's Pen. It is definitely good at killing FPS and your eyesight with all the brightness, especially with this MTX. By the way, with Poet's Pen, Vortex does target Frostbolts if you have more than one projectile. And I'm just using one Frostbolt Threshold Jewel to give me 2 extra projectiles. You don't need extra projectiles if you are using Ice Nova, because Ice Nova does not consume the Frostbolt. So the power that Poet's Pen gives is just absurd. It does not require any investment, it does not require any strategy, it doesn't even require you to get more attack speed. I do not feel any accomplishment while just face rolling anything with Poet's Pen. If I can do this, then what is the reward of using manually casting Frostbolt and Vortex? There is none, basically. And you can use almost any spell in the Poet's Pen and it's gonna do a lot of damage. Volatile Dead is the most common example, or Glacial Cascade. So since this is like the last days of Bestiary League and the next league is coming in less than 1 week, I think it is time for Poet's Pen to be nerfed. I mean, I did make them buff Elemental Hit, I'm sure I can make them nerf Poet's Pen as well, right? And if that happens, I will accept your gratitude for nerfing Poet's Pen and forcing people to use less OP stuff so they don't get bored as fast and we continue to play PvE for longer. Write in the comments below, how should I nerf Poet's Pen? Should I nerf the base attack speed on it? Or maybe instead of getting +1 every 25 levels, you should get like +1 every 30 levels? Or maybe both, or maybe do some kind of changes like to Hand of Wisdom and Action, where it doesn't really benefit of having 2 Poet's Pen, and 1 would be enough. Yeah, I think nerf it to the ground would be the best choice. Anyway, let's quickly talk about the build. So the item, obviously 2 Poet's Pen, Venomous Weave Gloves, which probably not gonna be available in the Incursion League, but we do provide a lot of damage and hinder enemies, and also give life and attack speed. Lore Weave, because it gives a lot of damage. Cold version Impressence Amulet, so I can reserve my Frostbite for free. Helmet with a lot of resistances and a lot of life. Same goes for rings. And then belt with cooldown recovery speed, and boots also with cooldown recovery speed. I did want this because Poet's Pen trigger has 0.25 second cooldown, which can be reduced with these mods. So normally you could trigger only up to 4 triggers per second, but if you reduce the cooldown, you can trigger more. In my case, I believe I trigger 5 per second. Well, that's actually 10, because I triggered both Poet's Pen at the same time. So with these, it is like around 12% DPS buff. Now for the skills, I am using Frenzy with Quality because Quality increases attack speed, then linked faster attacks and Culling Strike also with Quality for more attack speed, and then Enhance to increase the quality of Frenzy even more to increase the attack speed even more. And that way I basically cap my attack speed without even getting attack speed from the passive skill tree. Well, I do have some, but it's just because of the pathing and Ascendancy, which I'm gonna talk a bit later. Then in the main poet pen I do have Frostbolt linked with Control Destruction and Faster Projectiles. Faster Projectile is really good, but against big bosses you may want to swap for Cold Pen if you don't need to stay away from enemies too far. And then in the second poet pen I do have Vortex linked with Elemental Focus and Control Destruction. And Elemental Focus does not prevent enemies from being chilled from the Vortex ground. In the gloves I have Frostbite linked with Blasphemy, Enlighten and Temporal Chain. Enlighten is not needed for Frostbite. Actually, Enlighten is not even needed in this setup because I still have enough mana. And Temporal Chain is really nice because I am trying to focus all on the slowing enemies down. I am chilling enemies which slows them, I am cursing with Temp Chain which slows them, and I am also hindering enemies from the aspect of the spider. And in the boots I have Decoy Totem, Flame Dash, Herald of Ice with Quality and Frost Wall. Now I don't really have any mitigation, so my main defense is to kill enemies as fast as possible before they attack me, but ranged enemies, especially that shoot from very far away, or porcupines which explode on death, can be really dangerous. So Frostwall is actually really good, but of course it can be tricky to use it in time. And in the lore wave I'm just using Frostbomb linked with level 8 Arcane Surge, increased duration, efficacy and increased AoE. And each time I use Frostbomb I get 7-second Arcane Surge buff, which increases spell damage slightly and gives me a bit more regen. For the flask I am using Aziri's Promise mostly, but Wise Oak would be also nice, but I don't really have properly capped resistances. Now for the passive skill tree, this is Inquisitor, and first I took this for damage and mitigation against elemental damage, then Sanctify for basically Con Ground and regen, and then I didn't even do Merciless Lab until level 80 because I just had so much damage and thought I'm not gonna need it. But in the end I did get this one for mana regen and attack speed, and this one for, well, more spell damage and attack speed as well. And just from that I have enough attack speed. Also, another option would be to use Trickster. There you go, I mentioned it. For the rest of the passive skill tree I just try to get a lot of life, AoE and well, Elemental Overload, get another curse, and then get all those Heart of Ice and Breath of Rime for more cold and chill effect. Oh, another thing, Vortex with Poet Pen does target Frostbolt, but only if you shoot more than one Frostbolt. So you either need to use extra projectiles or use Frostbolt Threshold to give you 2 extra projectiles. But if you want to use Ice Nova, 1 Frostbolt projectile is enough, because it does not consume Frostbolt. Also, Frostbolt synergizes very well with this build. You basically use it, block enemies from, well, shooting projectiles at you or coming towards you, and then you just kill it from range, or just block porcupine explosions. And that's about all. I do hope that Poet's Pen is gonna be nerfed, and if it doesn't, I would advise you not to play Poet's Pen because you will get bored of it and you will lose interest in the game, and all the other builds will feel too weak. I may do another video right before the launch of Incursion League, where I quickly talk about the patch notes and the main things that change. On the other hand, there are way too many things to note, so I guess I'm just gonna do a video and talk about my plan for the first build in the league. And that's all. Thank you for watching and see you soon.